I think we've got her going here. 3, 2, 1. It's our weekly chat with the Chelan County Commissioners. We have all three on board. We have Keith Gaynor, Kevin Overbay, and Doug England joining us this morning. Gentlemen, you've got a pretty long agenda this week, and I know that I wasn't here last week for some discussions that you had regarding, first of all, this 5-cent gas tax proposal that was discussed at the recent Transportation Council meeting, and I know that Douglas County has decided not to go with a gas tax increase to pay for local road upkeep, but you're still in the discussion. So no final decision has been made at this point. Let's start with you, Doug, and if you could pull your chair up just a little bit closer so our mic can hear you. Anyway, give us the context in which you're discussing this right now.
We did discuss it yesterday. We had been asked by the Transportation Council to consider putting on the ballot the possibility of 5 cent a gallon gas tax in Douglas and Chelan County for the express purpose of trying to maintain our roads. We all know there's two ways to waste money. One is, of course, just to write a check when you don't need to, but the other one is to not make repairs when you need to. It doesn't get any cheaper, and so we were asked to look into that possibility. Douglas County has already decided, and they're pretty adamant about it. And in our discussion yesterday, we pretty well agreed that although that work needs to be done, it doesn't make sense at this time to do it on a one-county basis. It needs to be a regional approach. We get supplies on both sides of the river, and it would be very detrimental to our merchants on this side to just look at Chelan County itself. There are a number of ways to raise that money. We're looking at some more of those ways and some of those possibilities. We haven't completely ruled out considering a 5 cent a gallon gas tax, but at this time we don't really think that would be proper.
So let's talk about the reasons why we're even talking about this. What prompted the discussion in the first place? I know we do get funding from the federal government and the state, but what's the status of that funding stream right now, and why we're considering a local option at this point? Keith, can you answer that?
Well, the funding stream is still there. The reality is that we don't proportionately generate as much revenue as we used to. I mean, it's still the same amount of gallons that are, the tax is still the same, but the number of gallons that are being used versus the number of cars on the road, I mean, it just doesn't generate the revenue that it did. And with the infrastructure in a deteriorating state, we're not being able to keep up with the repairs that are necessary just to maintain our infrastructure. Chelan County did a transportation study a number of years ago. I think it's been at least 7-8 years ago that indicated that we would not be able to sustain our maintenance based on the revenue stream that we had, and we've experienced that. So, you know, we do, when I say we, I include everyone, all the cities, both counties. We are somewhat falling behind in our ability to keep our infrastructure up. So we have to be looking at other sources of revenue. So
and I know whenever you're talking about, you know, adding revenue, that means somebody's pocketbook's going to be affected, and nobody likes to pay extra taxes. There are, I guess, a couple of ways you can do it. You can do it just councilmatic, I suppose, or you could go to the voters. Is there anything that you would prefer to do? Any direction that you'd like to take as far as the future is concerned there?
Well, we're not able to do. I mean, what we can do is take the 1% each year, for, you know, all jurisdictions can. But beyond that, then it does need to go to the voters for any additional revenue.
Would that include like a local option tax on, let's say, Douglas County had a $15 car tax that they were able to do without voter approval. Is that still an option?
It would be an option, yes.
Okay. Also, some discussion regarding a full-time fire marshal for Chelan County. And Kevin, you've been kind of spearheading that effort, at least from the commission level. Where are you on that selection process, and where are you in that discussion?
We spent about the last 3 weeks. We worked with industry, both in the builders, the chamber, as well as fire marshals. Brought a work group together, and basically that steering committee has worked together on the functions of the fire marshal, developing a job description, as well as moving forward with how that might lay out with regards to where that would be placed within the county, if it would stay in community development or if it'd be a standalone position or so forth. So there's a couple of models that that group was able to come up with, and they had a meeting yesterday with our human resources director, and so what I'm expecting is that a presentation will be made to the Board of Commissioners next week, and with regards to that position, and then we'll make a determination of how we're going to move forward with that.
Why is it necessary to have a full-time fire marshal? Why not just keep it the way it is?
Well, currently we have a individual that's in the community development department that's actually doing that service, half-time. And so there's a lot of different factors that play in to the role of the fire marshal, with educational aspects, being able to tie in with the fire districts, code development, as well as enforcement, as well as plan review and inspection, both annual inspections of current businesses as well as inspection of new plans. And so there's a lot of work that needs to be done with regards to that, and to have a full-time fire marshal in that position would be advantageous to the county.
So you expect some kind of a path forward then very soon on that?
We do.
Okay.
I think one thing we should note is that we have had a full-time fire marshal in the past. And when the full-time position went away was when we were having some real budget challenges back in 08, 07, 08, 09 in that area. So what we're trying to do is basically catch up to some of the needs of that position. So, if the fire investigations that are taking place right now are being contracted out, and that used to be handled in-house by the fire marshal, so those would be some duties that would be back on that position again if we had a full-time person.
I know too that in the past, especially over the last couple of summers where we've had very hot, dry conditions, and that the counties have implemented bans on fireworks and such, that could become a job of a fire marshal, I suppose, in the future, couldn't it? And couldn't they make a determination of an emergency nature to be able to do that immediately rather than having to wait through the regular legislative process?
By code, it would be something that a resolution would be enacted by the Board of Commissioners, or it would be written into the county code to be able to give the fire marshal that ability to do that.
Okay. One more item, of course, the big item is waiting for action tomorrow night. The Chelan County Planning Commission expected to make its final recommendations for rules on new marijuana, and that'll eventually be coming to you, I guess, later this month, or next month rather. So where are we right now on that, Kevin, since you were on the working group that put together these rules?
We're actually kind of in a holding pattern right now. We're just waiting to get that presentation from the Planning Commission, their recommendation packet, and at which point then we'll have an opportunity to review that and then move forward appropriately with regards to public hearing and so forth.
Okay. Do you think that the final determination on this thing is going to be in the court hands?
It's hard to say. It's hard to say. There's litigation out there currently. I don't know that this is going to solve some of that, but we're going to do the best that we can to look at both sides of the issue.
Okay. One final question I have, and that would be for you, Keith, and you, Doug, since both of you are involved in the fruit industry. Any comments that you might have regarding the tragic fire we had on Friday at the Philippi Fruit Warehouse? Doug?
Well, I think that
it's a terrible loss, obviously.
It is a terrible loss, but I hate to see any packing facility go, particularly one that had been around for a while. I mean, it was a family operation. It's just great when families are able to take care of their own fruit, and they were providing a service for other growers too. So, I hope they're able to regroup and be able to move forward, in a positive way. So.
Doug?
I think one of the things I remember about my childhood is going through old packing plants, and there's a smell and a special feeling in some of those old packing plants that you can't duplicate when it's concrete and bleach every place, and it's sad to see that go, and we hope the Philippi family will be able to step up and use this as a springboard into whatever decision they might make.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. We'll talk in 2 weeks. Oh, go ahead. I'm
If I
sorry.
could, I really want to extend the thanks to Senator Hawkins. Last Wednesday, there was a delegation of individuals that went to Olympia and made a presentation for the Goodwin Bridge, which is just west of Kashmir.
Yes.
And it was because Senator Hawkins had worked to pull that delegation together. He was able to get the chairman of both the Senate and the House to come and listen to our presentation. We are short funding on that bridge. We're moving forward, but it's necessary for additional funding to come from somewhere. The county has made a commitment to do our part, and so we're looking to the state for their assistance. And so I just wanted to thank Senator Hawkins. I know Representative Steele and Representative Condado also took the time to come to that hearing, and we appreciate their involvement and their interest and efforts in trying to secure additional funding for the project.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. We'll talk to you in 2 weeks.
Okay. Thanks, Steve.
Appreciate it.
Have you done